Okay. All right. So we're going to move on. And this is with, once again, that we're looking to see whether there's probable cause to believe the respondent violated the Wisconsin Public Accommodations and Amusement Law by denying you full and equal enjoyment of a public place or of accommodation or amusement because of your sex or because of sexual orientation. Okay. So, um, you're alleging that the Sheboygan Police Department denied you full and equal enjoyment by harassing you because of your sex and sexual orientation. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about now. What happened?
Um, well, I was staying at Salvation Army,
When was
Sheboygan,
this?
March the 17th when I arrived. I arrived at Short Line Metro bus station. While I was there, I informed them I was here, but I didn't know that I was just around the corner from them, just walking distance. And during my stay there, there was other homeless people there at that bus station. Um, I'm trying to think. And they noticed that the police would start pulling up on me, and along with other residents. And I didn't know why they was harassing me. I started taking pictures. Wherever I see them, I would walk away and go to another location. There were several times that they will be outside of Mead's library, where a resident named Kelly, she said that she's gonna legally get me out of the shelter. And she called the police and gave them false information that, oh, that's another thing I want to share with you guys, that I was carrying a knife. And I was carrying a knife inside of Mead's library. And again, the police was called while I was outside of Mead's library. And he kept saying that he can't do it. He can't do it. Cause he kept getting out of his patrol truck near where I was at, or across
Oh,
from where
all
I was
right.
sitting at.
I have no idea who you're talking about when you say he, because you've
I'm
talked about a
sorry.
whole bunch of different people. So I need to understand what's going on. So your allegation is that the Sheboygan Police Department are the one that are denying you full and equal enjoyment. Full and equal enjoyment of what? What is it that you're saying that the Sheboygan Police Department denied you enjoyment of? What
Well,
is it that
when I called the police on Gregory, and me being harassed by they own, they did not come out for me. Like I called them in front of other homeless people. I called them at the library. They did not come out.
okay, how are they denied what so you're saying that they denied you access and full enjoyment of what? Was it what are they denying you access to?
I guess with police response, like when you call and you ask them to
Okay,
come
all right.
out,
That's what I
they
want to know.
supposed to come
Okay.
out.
So you're being denied police response because you called them in March of 2023
Yes, that's correct.
and they didn't come out to talk to you about what was going on.
Instead, they was harassing me. They was
How
at
did
my
they harass
location.
you? How did they harass
Um,
you?
they pulling up to Sheboygan Light. I mean Sheboygan. Sorry, Salvation Army Sheboygan parking lot. They was working with those employees. To trying to find something on me with Anthony.
Okay,
Um,
stop. How do you know that?
because I was there, I was present, and I heard them.
Okay, you
Not
heard
only that,
who? You heard
um,
who?
an officer. He was on the third floor where I was at.
Okay, great. What's his name?
I don't have his name. That's the problem. I don't have his name.
Okay, so they pulled up to the Sheboygan Salvation Army and you heard this officer speaking with, but we don't know who he is. We don't know his name. Do we know what day?
It was in March.
Okay.
Well, give me a second. Um, March and April because I had different roommates.
Okay, so this happened twice at the Sheboygan Salvation Army. So this officer comes in. We don't know his name. Do you know his patrol car number?
Yeah, I have evidence it's in my other
Okay.
iPhone.
Do
I'm
you
sorry,
have?
but I have other exhibits to show you that those police officers was present at the library. It was
Yeah, but
like
that just because a police officer's at a library doesn't tell me that it has anything to do with you.
it
They could
has
have
something to
been
do with
there at
me.
any other point in time for any other reason. You're the one that has to show me some sort of connection with you, that an interaction with you. Just filming people down the street or taking pictures of police cars up and down the road doesn't necessarily show me anything. Okay.
No,
So let's
I
talk about it
actually
first. So you're in the Salvation Army and you hear this officer say what?
um that they don't want to get sorry, they don't want Brad to be fired. He came into the women's bathroom.
Okay. Who
Um,
is Brad?
Brad is an employee from Salvation Army Sheboygan.
And what does Brad have to do with the police department?
Because they kicked two Caucasian women out of the shelter because they was
Okay.
informing me that the residents and employees were working with Anthony to carry out this rape
Okay.
against me.
Okay. So
So
people are telling you that there's this Anthony guy doing something, that he wants to do stuff, and he's trying to rape you.
and
And
I heard it in my own ears.
okay. Okay. So you hear this stuff's going on. The police show up, but they don't want to. But they say they don't want Brad to be fired because, and you think Brad's working with Anthony, and so the police are all in on this whole thing to protect Anthony, and Anthony's the one that's trying to rape you.
Uh, Yes, and
Okay.
Brad came into the women's bathroom while I was showering, and it's like a see-through curtains. And I didn't.
Okay.
I thought someone was there, but I have a hearing problem, and
Okay.
I was the only one that's up at 3 or 4 that morning. It was other Caucasian residents telling me not to shower at that time because they felt bad. And when they learned of that, they said, "Oh, this is a lawsuit, whatever." So the other two girls, the other residents, they was informing me what was going on, and I heard it myself. So they
Okay, so you
kicked them
hear
out where
somebody
they
come in
had
the
nowhere to
bathroom, but you
go.
don't know that it's Brad. The other two girls, Caucasian girls, tell you it's Brad, and that's why they want to get rid of them because
No,
people are
no, no, no.
protecting Brad.
Brad actually told on himself and told Anthony that he saw me in the bathroom showering and that I
Okay,
have a
did
nice
you hear
body.
Brad say it?
Yes, and doing it when he's
No,
serving breakfast, he served breakfast only on Sundays. He cooked hot meals on
no, no, no.
Sundays.
That's not what I asked you. What I asked you was, did you hear Brad say he was the one that came in the bathroom?
Yes.
You heard him
This is
say
this
that
was
to you.
after he was using that against me, telling other residents as well out my knowledge. And when I learned of that, when I heard what he said, I reported it to my case manager. I'm a
Okay.
manager.
All right. So that was reported to your case manager. We're dealing
So
with the Sheboygan Police Department. I need to know what exactly the Sheboygan Police Department denied you access to. What did they do to keep you out of something or prevent you from using something? Because
the only thing
that's
I
what
can
your
say
suit
is
is.
that the only thing I can say is that I called them for help and they did not come
And
out.
they did not respond. Okay. All
Yes,
right. So
several
that was it.
times. I really
So,
did. Yes.
okay. So
I
that's the
even
problem.
called.
Okay, so that's the problem we have with what your allegation with the police is that you called them repeatedly over a course of several months, and you would call them and they would ignore you. They would not come out to provide you assistance.
Yes, few times in 3 months. And then
Three.
I did it
Okay.
online. They emailed me back and saying that I had to go to the directors. But they did
Okay.
come out to the shelter itself. The
Okay.
police officer, it was two
Okay. But the
patrol trucks.
all right. But I'm trying to understand the basis of what it is you're being denied. So what you're telling me, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want to make sure I understand is the full enjoyment and accommodations and access that you're being denied by the police is a timely and prompt response to your calls.
Yes. And they was
Okay.
working
All right.
with
All right.
the
That's
attorney
I
back.
just need to understand what it is you're alleging here. Okay.
They will put up on me as well, like different
Okay.
places in Sheboygan.
Okay.
There's nothing I had a problem with.
All right. All right. Those are the only questions I have for you in regards to this complaint. Attorney Adams, you're muted, sir.
Sorry, we had a siren going earlier.
How did you, Ms. Myles, how did you contact the police when you would try to contact them to come talk to you?
I did non-emergency, and they transferred my call to 911. Then I filed a police report online several times. 2 got deleted.
So you called 911?
I called non-emergency, then they transferred my call to 911.
And so when you call the non-emergency number, which number was that?
To Sheboygan County, non-emergency
Oh,
number.
to the Sheboygan County Sheriff's Department?
Sheboygan County Police Department.
Well, was it the Sheboygan County Sheriff's Department or the City of Sheboygan Police Department? There's no Sheboygan County Police Department.
City of Sheboygan Police Department. I also had some run-ins with the sheriffs.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get at here, because people sometimes mix up the Sheboygan County Sheriff's Department and the City of Sheboygan Police Department, and you kind of use both words. So
It's both separate times.
Okay, now your complaint though can't be against both because they're separate entities.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you called, do you know which number you called?
Should I look it up?
No.
No, it's
You either know or you don't. It's okay. It's okay. If you don't recall, you don't recall. It's okay. We don't guess.
Okay, it's a 262 area code number.
Oh, you called the 262 area code number?
Yes, that's in Sheboygan. Wherever I Google at that time, that's what I called the number.
Okay, I'm confused. Are we calling the City of Sheboygan Police Department?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But what you're saying is that when you attempted to call the City of Sheboygan Police Department, you did so by calling a 262 area code number. Is that correct?
That should be the number. Yes, yes.
Okay.
The non-emergency.
Okay. Again, I know I asked you these questions before on the library case, but I just want to clarify here as well. So you believe that the real reason that the police were refusing to respond was because they were in cahoots with Attorney Collis over this issue about guardianship and your brother and the property in Milwaukee, and they were sort of helping out with that. It was your individual problems. That's your belief. Is that correct? That's why they would harass you?
That I want to add on to find something sexually on me.
I didn't understand that. Could you repeat that? It was all garbled. My apologies.
They wanted to find something sexually on me to get my brother guardianship terminated.
But that's why, right? Because it's because of this issue about your brother's guardianship. That's why you believe these people are refusing to respond to your calls or otherwise harassing you. Is that correct?
Partial, yes.
Okay. No other questions.
Okay. All right. Then I think that wraps up that case. And what do we have next? All right. We're now going to move on to CR 2023-01555. And that is also with the City of Sheboygan. In this case, we're dealing with City Hall. Okay, so if that puts everybody kind of in perspective. Now, the issue here is whether there's probable cause to believe that the respondent violated the Wisconsin Public Accommodations and Amusement Law by denying you full and equal enjoyment of a public place of accommodation or amusement because of your sex. Now, once again, we're dealing with what happened in with the city hall workers, because you've alleged that you're being harassed by city hall workers and that you're being denied full and equal enjoyment because of your sex. And that, so that's what I'm going to ask you questions about, okay? All right. So when did this happen with the city hall workers?
Few days after I got there.
So we're still talking about March of 23?
Yes.
Okay. What happened?
I contact City Hall to inform them that I am being harassed. And I gave them a brief
Okay.
statement of why I was being harassed from Milwaukee to Sheboygan. And I
Okay.
reached out
So
to,
hold on. So why are you contacting City Hall um uh, to complain about being harassed? What is city? Why didn't you call the police?
I did contact the police. I explained to them what was going on as well. To
Okay.
City Hall. It was a older Caucasian female answered the phone. I kind of explained to her. I was talking to another agency. She told me to contact the mayor
Okay.
of that
So
county.
did you contact the mayor?
Yes. His assistant answered his calls.
Okay. So you contacted the mayor and you spoke to the assistant, and and that mayor, was that Ryan Sorensen?
Yes, it was Ryan.
Okay. And when did you remember when you contacted Mr. Sorensen?
Immediately when I got there, it was just a few days, maybe the second week when I got
Okay.
to when I relocated to Sheboygan.
Okay. So you contacted the mayor and you spoke to the assistant within a few weeks of arriving in Sheboygan
That's correct.
in March of
2020.
2023. Okay. All right. So what happened when you talked to this assistant to the mayor?
She told me it was not much they can do. I kind of
Okay.
explained to them another agency. I forgot who they was. They told me it's best to contact the mayor of each county that I'm being harassed at.
Okay.
So that's what I done. The only person that I heard back from was in the state of Georgia.
Okay.
None of the mayor or their assistant called me in Milwaukee County and Sheboygan.
Okay. So you're saying that it's city hall workers are harassing you. What happened?
They are in their white trucks with numbers on it. It's like
Okay. How do you know that they're city hall workers?
at first I didn't initially know they was city hall workers until I noticed they got like a parking lot across from United States Postal Service. There's a parking lot filled with their trucks.
Okay.
And I'm noticing that
but how do you know they work for city hall and they're not working for, let's say, utilities or waste management or some other division? You're saying it's city hall workers. So I want to know, how do you know that it's work for city hall, or are you just making that assumption based on where they park their cars?
it says City of Sheboygan and is parked across from City Hall. Some of the workers would come out to watch me go to the United States Postal Service because I was complaining to City Hall that a lot of the residents following me from Milwaukee to Sheboygan tried to fight me. And then again, someone that was sent to Sheboygan to carry out this rape. Like they was targeting me because of this.
Okay. So
And their goal was to terminate my guardianship. They wanted to find some sexually on me. And I was
okay.
trying my best to explain that to her. what was going
Okay.
on. They
All right.
bringing trouble.
So to try and understand the connection with all three of these cases, you're under the belief that you have guardianship over your brother and people want to terminate that guardianship. So they're looking for dirt on you sexually, some kind of stuff to keep you from getting guardianship or to take guardianship away from your brother. And then there's also this home that you inherited that they want to take that from you too. And people are following you all over the place, Milwaukee, Sheboygan, everywhere you go, trying to either fight you or rape you, to make you look bad in this custody battle with the guardianship of your brother and the property that you got from your grandmother. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Now,
And a situation where it was another rumor floating around, but it wasn't me. It was actually my cousin.
okay, I don't want to hear about rumors. I don't want to hear about your cousin. My question for you is, there's some white trucks that are parked in a parking lot over by the post office in front of City Hall, and you see these trucks parked there, so that's why you think they're City Hall workers.
I know they're city hall workers. They would be in their trucks, cashing the library. Again, the library employees, everyone's seen it. I seen it. I was aware of what was going on. They felt bad for me. They the employees at Sheboygan County
Okay.
used
I'm
their
still trying to understand how you know they work at City Hall. Did you speak to any of these workers in these trucks?
no. I was
Okay.
aware that they
Did
was
you?
harassing me.
Okay. So what you're seeing is people in white trucks that you think are harassing you. And how are they harassing you? Because they're following you?
It's not just white trucks. It's not just plain truck. It was trucks with a label on it with their name, with the number on it for each truck.
Okay.
And they
So,
was harassing me.
okay. And explain how they harassed you. What were
They
they
was
doing?
informed. They was informed that I was getting packages. I would order personal items like
Okay.
hygiene items
All right.
to the post office.
How do you know they were informed?
By the UPS workers, United States Postal
Okay.
Service
So
workers.
a post office worker told you that they told the City Hall what you were getting at the post office?
They didn't tell me. They told several people to
Okay.
watch me.
See, that's that hearsay thing. Okay. I need to know what
It
you
was a
know.
worker named Ryan. It was a worker named Ryan that worked at the United States Postal Service. He said that in front of me that I know that he's harassing me, and he wouldn't come up to the counter because he felt guilty by telling the other Means Library employees and that I was getting packages, and just to watch me and follow me to the post office, getting my package and going back to Means Library.
Okay.
So that's when I decided I stopped sending my package to the post office to be picked up. I had an amendment to Salvation Army Sheboygan where I would get it from one of the workers at the counter when I check in.
Okay. So they're watching you go get your packages, and that's how they're harassing you? They're following you to go get
Yes,
your packages? Okay. All right. I'm just trying to understand where the harassment comes in.
it's
Okay.
on foot and in their vehicles, Judge.
So they're following you around, or whether they're following you walking or whether they're driving, they're following you everywhere you go.
Both. I will be
That's
in
what I'm
another.
saying. Either one.
Yeah,
Both.
both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay. So they're following you on foot and
Yes.
following you in their vehicles.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So what is it that what accommodation or thing were you trying to do that they denied you full use and enjoyment of?
That would be the city of Sheboygan Police Department. You referring that to?
No. We're talking about City Hall workers. What did they deny you?
Um. Well, I called them for help, but they told me that's something they can't look into.
You called the City Hall?
Yes, the mayor. That's where the mayor's his office at. Ryan office is at.
Okay, so you asked them to help you, and they say that's not an area that we can do. Did they tell you to call the police?
I did call the police. I explained
No,
that to
no,
her.
no. I'm
Yes,
asking
yes,
you, were you
yes,
told? Okay, so she told
yes,
you to call the
yes,
police, and she explained to you that that's not something that office does, and referred you to call the police.
yes. But with another
Okay,
agency saying that they can do something about it. The mayor can put a lot of stop to what was going on in the counties,
okay, all right.
and he did
So
not.
okay, so that's how they denied you, was because the mayor didn't put a stop to it, and instead they referred you to go to the police department.
Yes, and then
Okay.
let me tell you this, Judge. It's a church that offered free food to the homeless, and they had this like the celebration for Ryan. He was there, the mayor, and he furthered the harassment with those church employees that was harassing me and was laughing at me because I was homeless. They had like this big event with the cake and something, a cake and to celebrate
Uh-huh.
what he was doing, and he was there. And I was trying to take a picture of it, so as a exhibit to to share with you guys that he was there and he was laughing at me with the residents.
Uh-huh.
And they saying that he didn't like me. He was there, and I saw
Okay.
him. And the time I got ready to take his picture, he disappeared behind the
Okay.
counter
All
in the
right.
church. So
All right.
I would go speak to him directly, but I never got a chance to do it in
Never
person.
got a chance to talk to him.
No, and I'm trying to take pictures just to, provide equal rights that this was happening.
Okay.
I still have the exhibit of the cake, but
Okay.
he kept moving where I couldn't take a picture. Um,
Okay.
he wear
Um,
glasses, and I have a
okay.
description of what he had on that day.
All right. Anything
Um,
else you want to tell me about the city hall people and what they were doing to harass you or to deny you full and equal access and enjoyment? So, what
I
that we haven't already talked about?
I kept calling to try to talk to Ryan, and I was working with his assistants. He would not get on the phone with me
Okay.
or tell me why he can't investigate my concerns. She noted that I contact the police. She also told me, contact the police as well if you feel that your safety is in danger. I
Uh-huh.
forgot which way she said it, but
Okay.
and I did both. I really did, and it got
Okay.
worse for me.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, those are the only questions I have for you, Attorney Adams.
No, nothing further. I think we've covered it.
Okay. All right. Miss Myles, is there anything on any of these three cases that we have not covered that you need to let me know?
Oh well, I have other exhibits and my phone. I couldn't
Okay.
provide that to you. I do
Yeah.
apologize. So this
No, no,
it might be
there's
the reason why my case might be dismissed because I just don't have enough sufficient evidence to provide to you guys. And I
okay.
do, it's just my phone said unavailable. I
Okay.
have to look into this next year, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, as there's nothing else as far as your case goes, I only have the three exhibits that we marked that were offered. They were excluded for the reasons already put forth on the record. We now move on to the respondent's case. It's 11:26. I need to take a break at 11:45, and then we can resume, by 12:10. It's only because my insulin alarm keeps going off and it's telling me my sugar's dropping. So I need to address that. But so I have to make sure I do that. But so what would everybody like? Do we want to uh, uh,
So
go for 10
Judge,
minutes, or do we want to come back at about 12:10 or so, 12:15?
Judge, Attorney Majerus is going to be handling our witnesses, but she does have a hearing at 11:30. But I wonder if before we go to that, so maybe we take the break and then come back for that. But I wonder if before we could go to that, I would just make a move to I would move to dismiss the case now on the basis that Ms. Myles hasn't even before we presented our case, she has not made a case that the court could anyway rely on to make a finding in her favor.
That's because of the exhibits, right? I don't have enough evidence, right?
Well, he's just making his motion. This usually happens that at the conclusion, because you have the burden of proof, they don't ever have to do anything, essentially. And what he's saying is that you have not presented enough factual evidence to prove your case, any of the three cases. So he's asking that I dismiss those cases right now.
Or if that you don't believe that this
No,
is
it's not that he
happening.
doesn't believe. It's that you haven't proven. Okay, remember, you have the burden of proof. You have to show me that these things happened, and explain that it was probable. At this time,
And
I'm not going to
submitted
dismiss.
videos.
I'm not going to. You put videos. They're marked, and they've been, those have been sent back to the parties, but you're responsible for proving your case. Okay.
Okay.
It's not up to me. So if you wanted to use any of your exhibits at any time, you're the one that has to bring it up and say, I want to introduce this. We then figure out what it is. I hear any objections. If anybody has any objections, I let you respond to those objections, and then I make my ruling. You haven't asked to have any, your case, your part of the case is done. You didn't ask. That's why I kept saying, is there anything you want to show, anything you want to do? I can't be your lawyer. Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I thought when I submitted those evidence, it's bait stamped.
They're bait stamped, ready to use. No, I don't look at exhibits ahead of hearing. That would be inappropriate. I can't make a decision on anything or be tainted with any information prior to. Okay. I hear everything today. All right. So I'm not going to dismiss your case at this time. I will take that under advisement, and I will leave it up to the respondent to decide if they would like to put on a case, if they want to call just one witness, or if they want to call no witnesses. But at this time, I'm not going to dismiss this case. Now, Attorney Majerus has a hearing like now. It's 11:30. So why don't we come back at 12:15?
Okay.
Will that be enough time? Well, only if they call a witness and you want to use that to refute whatever their witness says, at that point, you use it in cross-examination. But otherwise, if it's not relevant to what's being asked or what's being done, it's not going to come in. Again, I can't be your attorney. I can ask you questions. I can try and, both sides. Is there anything else? Do you want to do anything? I can ask those kinds of questions, but I can't be a lawyer. Okay. It's up to you to present your case however you choose to present it. And that's how it works. All right. So why don't we take a break? It's 11:30, and let's all come back at about 12:15. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Oh, that was 12:15. If I said 11:15, my apologies. All right, we are back on the record in CR 2023-01187, CR 2023-01553, and CR 2023-01555, Paris Myles versus the Mead Public Library, as well as the city of Sheboygan. When we last left off, the complainant had put her case in chief as to all three of these files into the record. She has been cross-examined by the respondent as to all three of these files. The respondent did move for dismissal of all of these cases. That was denied at this time, taken under advisement, and we are ready to move on to the respondent's portion of the case. Attorney Majerus, I'm assuming that's you.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. It looks like our witness is momentarily out of our office area, and I'm not sure if maybe he's in the restroom. So I'm going to just ask that we wait a few minutes.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Do we know who that witness is going to be?
His name is Santino Laster, and he is an employee with the Mead Public Library.
Okay.
He's walking up here now.
Okay,
All right.
he's on his way.
That's fine. I'm just putting him in the log.
His last name is spelled Laster.
Okay. Might you know his email address?
SANTINO .LASTER at sheboyganwi.gov.
Thank you.
You saw him. I physically saw him. I believe it was him. He was wearing a white shirt, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's KLC on it.
He maybe stepped. Oh,
Did Melissa go, did she run out to get him? Is that
yeah,
what
that
happened?
must be it.
Perfect timing. Go ahead and bring him in. We're gonna have you sit here.
All right, Mr. Laster is present. We are ready to proceed.
Need to see him. So far, I've got a hand and an arm. Can we
Can you see
move the
him?
camera? No.
Oh,
I'm seeing
he's in our picture, but
Yeah, maybe. Do you see the chair next to me that I'm pointing to right here?
No, all I see is from your upper shoulder. I've got a
Oh.
perfect view of Attorney Adams. He's just right outside the
You-
screen.
oh, okay. So
There we go. There he is.
Okay.
Wonderful. Okay.
Perfect. All right. Are we ready to begin then?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Laster, if you could raise your right hand, sir. Do you affirm or swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir?
Yes.
All right. You may lower your hand. Attorney Majerus?
Thank you. Mr. Laster, how are you employed?
I'm an employee with the Mead Public Library,
In what capacity?
public safety.
Okay, so what are some of your job responsibilities?
My job responsibilities is the safety and welfare of the patrons that come in and out the library, the security of the building, community resources as well.
So as part of those, to satisfy some of those responsibilities, would it be customary practice for you to walk around the library facility, to engage with patrons, to review security camera footage, things of that sort?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and is that something that you would do regularly?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Were you employed in that capacity throughout the year 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Does the library charge an admission fee or otherwise restrict access to the facility?
No, ma'am.
Do you have a policy about restricted access to the facility?
I don't think that there's no policy for restricted access. Only if you're excluded from the building, then access is denied.
And what are some reasons that a person may be excluded from the building?
So there's a lengthy tiers that we have. So it could be unwanted attention, it could be any legal or misdemeanor acts that could warrant an exclusion, vaping in our building, behaviors that goes against our code of conduct, There's a slew of tiers that gives an exclusion.
That relates to primarily misconduct on the property?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with Paris Myles?
Yes.
In what capacity are you familiar with her?
She regularly attended the library.
Did you know her before she came to the library in 2023?
No, ma'am.
Had you heard of her at all?
No.
Okay. At any point in time, was Miss Myles ever excluded from the building?
No.
Okay. At any point in time, did you intentionally follow Miss Myles as she went about her business in the building?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any memory of having a conversation with any library staff or patron at Miss Myles' expense?
Yes.
So what I mean by that question is, do you have a memory of having a conversation with someone else that would belittle or undermine or demean Miss Myles?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay. Are you aware of any other patrons in the library who were there with the purpose of following her or harassing her?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did Miss Myles, did you ever have a conversation with Miss Myles?
Yes.
And in any of those conversations, did she report to you that she was being harassed or followed?
I believe she did, and I told her she needs to file a police report. If any individuals were harassing or following her outside of the library. She didn't say it happened in the library.
She didn't say it happened in the library.
She said the parking lot, which is city property. That's why I told her she needs to call the police.
Okay, I'm getting a lot of, it's not loud enough and not clear enough. There was some mumbling, so I'm going to ask, or that's the way it came across. So I'm going to ask a couple clarifying things. The question was, had she ever spoken with her? You said yes, and that she had reported harassment and being followed outside of the library, and then you told her, or you did not tell her to go to the police or to report it to the police?
I told her to report it to the police because that's city
Okay.
property if it happened in the parking lot.
Okay. That was it. Thank you. It just got garbled.
Have you ever called the police
For Miss Myles?
with regard to any, in your professional capacity with regard to any patron or situation?
Yes, I have.
And does the police phone numbers, what area code does the police phone number start with?
920.
Okay. Did you ever call police on Miss Myles' behalf?
No.
Did you ever have a conversation with law enforcement at the library or the parking lot around the library about Miss Myles?
No.
Do you know whether the library employs an individual named Tom?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever had a conversation with Tom about Paris Myles?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if he was even hired during that time yet.
Oh, that he may not have been
Yeah.
employed at that time?
I think he might be up to his year, but I'm not sure if he was hired during the time that she was in the library.
Okay. Where in the library are the patron restrooms located?
There's restrooms on the first floor in the vestibule. Across from the Roker room, there's men and women's restrooms there. There's also restrooms on the second floor. On the west side of the building by the picture windows, there's another men and women's restroom. And then the third floor, there's singular restrooms for children, but if parents are up there, they can use those as well.
Okay, so you mentioned that on the first floor, the restrooms are in what you call the vestibule.
Yes.
Is that a lobby space between the primary entrance to the building and then the entrance to the library of the building?
Yes.
And then is there anything within that vestibule besides bathrooms?
You have the water fountain. You also have the Roker room that's utilized.
And what is
What
the Roca?
room?
The ROCA is ROCCA. And that's normally can be for meetings, events. The public can reserve it free of charge, so anyone can use it, as long as they reserve it.
Okay. Are there benches in the vestibule?
So the east and west entrance doors, there is a little bench in between against the window. And then there's the bathrooms inside of the next set of glass doors, and then the library. So there's the entranceway in the lobby, and the vestibule is right here with the restrooms, and then you come to the library. It's kind of like a 3-phase.
Is it common for individuals to be standing or sitting around the vestibule area during library hours?
Yes.
Have you ever directed anybody to go to this area to spy on Miss Myles?
No, ma'am. We have no loitering signs there, so if I go out there, it's to tell people that they need to leave if it's more than 5 minutes.
Okay. Does the library offer food or drink service?
There are vending machines in there for a fee, yes.
So is there any reason why an individual would be restricted from utilizing the vending machines?
Unless they're out of order, no.
Okay. If a sign is placed on a vending machine or a coffee machine that it's out of order, is that just a general advisement to all patrons?
Yes.
Do you have any information or knowledge about Miss Myles' personal history?
No.
I don't have any further questions at this time.
Okay. Mr. Lester, you testified that during 2023, that entire year, you were working in the capacity of a public safety. Is there something else to that title?
Public safety specialist.
Okay, thank you. How long have you been working for the Mead Library?
So in August, it'll be 4 years.
Okay. All right. And that Mead Library is located in Wisconsin?
Yes.
Okay. In which city?
Sheboygan.
Okay. All right. That was it. Okay. Miss Myles, now's your chance to ask questions. Just like Attorney Adams asked you questions, this is your opportunity to ask Mr. Laster questions. Now, we're not testifying, so you don't get to make statements. You just have to ask him questions if you want to, okay?
Okay.
Okay, do you have any questions for Mr. Laster?
You never pulled me to the side to speak what was going on at the library.
I couldn't really tell.
Could you speak louder, please?
Just ask him, did you ever?
Did you ever pull me to the side to speak to me regarding the harassment at the library?
You spoke of someone following you, and you said it happened in a parking lot. So I did say yes, that I talked to you about that, but you have to call the police. And I afforded you the opportunity to use our phone to call the police if you wanted to.
Can I elaborate on that, Judge?
No. Whatever he answers, that's what we have to accept. You'll get a chance to do rebuttal in a minute where you can elaborate on that. But right now is just your chance to ask him questions. So if he says the sky's blue, we have to accept the sky's blue. Okay?
Do you ever come out of the room that's behind the desk on the first floor in the library out on my way to the bathroom to have the teenagers just to watch out for me, to see if anyone was coming into the bathroom or just watch the other male residents.
So is the question asking, did I send teens to watch you?
Yes, that's correct.
No,
Do you ever call me out of my name? Because
no,
you never talked about me with the other employees, the other librarians on the first floor.
no.
You never pulled me to the side. I'm sorry, excuse me. You never told me to go into the conference room on the second floor just to calm down regarding a teenager that was harassing me in the library.
I don't know how deep I can go into that. I mean,
So I would say, don't discuss juveniles' behavior, but you could discuss conversations that you had with Miss Myles about her perceptions that day.
so Miss Myles, you stated that some teens were calling you a prostitute. And I just relayed to you that you need to tell staff instead of taking pictures of teens or minors, because that's against our policy. They're not adults. You can't videotape or take pictures of minors. That's what I wanted to have a conversation with you about.
And I can't elaborate on that, right, Judge?
Nope.
Okay. Um, do, do you know me prior to, I'm sorry, take that back. Yeah. Do you know me the second day when I was a resident in Sheboygan on March the 18th, 2023, doing the art exhibit? I think that's what was going on that day.
So is your question, did he know you prior to March 18 of 2023?
Yes, that's correct.
No,
Do you know me on March the 18th doing the art exhibit in the library?
if you're in the library as a patron and I was working that day, if I saw you, but I didn't know you.
Okay. I have no more questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Any redirect?
Briefly, Miss Myles referenced being invited to sit in a conference room. Can you talk about that conversation?
I don't recall. I don't know if we went into a conference room, but I asked her to come to the side because she was making allegations of minors calling her a prostitute. But staff told me that she was actually taking pictures of these kids. So that's what I wanted to discuss with her. And if she had any concerns, that she needs to tell staff versus trying to take it into her own hands.
Okay. Would there have been any opportunity that you're aware of where Miss Myles was offered a private space within the library because of her perceptions of other patrons' behavior?
I don't know if I can speak to what other staff had accommodated her with.
Your Honor, will you admit evidence of conversations with other staff?
Well, he can tell me as to what he did. But if you know, we're getting into hearsay. Rules of evidence are kind of lax when it comes to these administrative hearings, or they're quasi judicial. It would depend on how far we're going. I mean, that's, if you want other people to tell me what they did, then that's the people that you need to be calling. He can tell me of what he has firsthand knowledge of. So if he directed staff to do something, or he told somebody something, he can tell me that.
Thank you for the clarification. Mr. Laster, did you ever instruct or advise staff that they could offer Miss Myles private spaces within the library?
No.
Okay. Are you aware of Miss Myles ever taking advantage of the various study rooms or other private spaces in the library?
Yes.
And are those private spaces available to all patrons based upon like whether they're otherwise being used or subject to any other policies?
All patrons can use them. They just have to go to the desk to reserve it with the staff at the desk.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Anything on what he said just then? On just those two questions she asked him.
That I was taking advantage of the library space.
Yeah, that means that you used it. That basically the question was that uh, the library has private spaces that people can use if you go to the staff and you reserve it, and that you did take advantage of that, and that he was aware that you did use them on occasion. You know, that you knew they were there and that you used them.
I signed up to get in that room during certain times, but I never took advantage.
That's what he means by taking advantage. It's not a bad thing.
No, I never took advantage.
I know, no. That's what the phrase "take advantage of." In other words, you used it. Not that it was a bad
not
take.
in a bad way.
Not in a bad way. Just
Okay.
that you availed yourself of the rooms, that you followed the rules and you went and asked
yes.
for it, you reserved it, and that you were able to use those private rooms.
Yes.
Okay.
On
Did
many
you have any
occasions.
questions about that with him?
No. Well, I
Okay.
never spoke to him about the rooms. I spoke to other librarians.
Okay. All right.
Science.
Anything else for Mr. Laster?
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lester.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're good to go.
The city has no further witnesses.
Okay. One moment, please. Okay. As the city has no more witnesses and Miss Myles has no more witnesses, what I'm going to briefly allow is each of you to make a summary argument as to your position of your cases. Okay. So briefly, Miss Myles, explain to me how you have shown or proven your case in regards to all three of these cases, okay?
Okay. All three of the cases, each respondent, again, they was using the Wisconsin statute to further harassment within their territory. They knew me prior to coming. When I got there, they furthered the harassment where I didn't know them personally, and I wanted to stop. I reported to several people, and I could not get any help in my situation. Homeless can be caused on anyone, and they used that, and they took advantage of that. And they knew who I was and how I became homeless, and the home still belongs to me. And yeah, different race, different age of people was harassing me. Without my knowledge to know what was the reason.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
yeah, some of the things that Santino said was kind of false.
Well, we don't really comment on other person's testimony. It's for me to decide what's credible and what's not. Okay? So you've already told me your side of what happened. If there's something that you have that contradicts what he says, at this time it's argument. Okay? So I'm listening to everybody's sum, but so if you have something that you want to tell me that's opposite from what he said, you can go ahead and tell me that now, okay?
He did come out of the Santino, we call him Santana. But he did come out of that room that's behind the desk on the first floor of the library, and he was telling the other teenagers to watch out for me when I'm going to the bathroom. And then he also participated in the harassment. Like, as soon as I got there, I didn't know him personally. And he did come up to me, and then he backed back and said, stay away from her. She got crabs. And the two other employees knew that he was causing trouble. The two twin sisters. And one of
Okay.
the twin sisters is now a worker at the last shelter that I was kicked out of.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Who would like to briefly give me some sort of closing argument on behalf of the respondent?
I will, Judge.
Thank you.
So in a nutshell, it appears that Ms. Myles' complaints are that she was being harassed not because of her sex, race, or sexual orientation, but because of her status as a homeless person and because of her history with various matters regarding guardianship and property rights. Ms. Myles, specific to the case 1187, alleges a broad-reaching conspiracy among librarian staff and various unknown, unnamed, uncorroborated individuals to ridicule her, to generate some type of claim by which an attorney in Milwaukee can use that to impact her guardianship and her property interests in these cases. The only evidence that Ms. Myles presented was her own testimony, which was often conflicting, confusing, and difficult to follow. There were no witnesses that were able to corroborate her positions. She provided no evidence that could be admitted to support her positions. Santino Laster's testimony directly refuted many of the claims that Ms. Myles made. It's important to note that Ms. Myles claimed to have filed a complaint with the police department using an online portal. However, and she also claimed to have called a non-emergency phone number and was directed to dispatch. But when she was asked, she said that the number she called started with a 262 area code. Santino Laster has testified that when he calls local police, the area code is 920. 262, I would note, is for the Ozaukee County area. I would further note that Ms. Myles claims that she was denied enjoyment or the privilege of participating in library activities, but she's not been able to present anything to support that other than the statement that the coffee maker was out of service at one point. She alleges that unnamed City Hall workers were following her. She cannot identify who those workers were. She claims that the mayor's office and further generally City Hall deprived her of her rights by not taking charge of her concerns and resolving them for her. She acknowledges, however, that when she spoke with the mayor's assistant, she was directed to contact law enforcement. Similarly, Mr. Laster testified that when he spoke with her, he directed her to law enforcement. Ms. Myles has not presented any documentation that would suggest that she followed through with that by filing a police report with law enforcement or securing a copy of a police report that law enforcement may have against her. She was not denied entry into any facility that was city operated. She has not testified that she was denied entry to City Hall or to the library, that she was charged an admission or treated differently in order to access those facilities. She has also not demonstrated that other patrons of those facilities were given better treatment than her. The city feels that she has not met her burden to establish probable cause, and the city would very respectfully ask that all of these matters be dismissed.
Your Honor.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Myles?
Some of the exhibits, I forgot to mention, like the video exhibits,
Okay.
to
Oh,
help my
the
case.
evidence is closed. Okay. Evidence is closed. All right. This was
Okay.
just argument. Argument is not evidence. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Um,
What you just told me and what Attorney Majerus just told me, none of that is evidence. It's just
Okay.
argument. Everybody's just summing up. But your case closed a long time ago. So the time for you to have shown anything and talked about it and argued that has come and gone. We then
Yeah.
moved on to the respondent's case. Okay.
And I
So
want to add on to about my sets. Um, I was being harassed
no, no, no,
regarding.
no. No. The case is done.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
You can't. We're not gonna continue going over and over and over. Everybody had an opportunity to present their case. Okay. So your case was finished. We came back from break, and then the respondent put on their side of the case.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So there have not been any exhibits that were admitted into evidence. The respondent offered no exhibits in this case. We have had testimony in this matter by the complainant as well as respondent's witness, Santino Lassiter. So evidence is now closed and this hearing is over. Yes, Ms. Myles.
I want to add that he said the work
No,
at
no, no,
time.
no.
Oh,
You can't add anything else.
okay.
Okay? That's what it means by evidence is closed. There's no more testimony from you. There's no more testimony from any of the respondents' witnesses. We're done. When they rested their case with their with their one and only witness being Mr. Santino Laster, that was it. Okay, that's why I allowed everybody to, now go ahead and give me a brief, summary argument as to, what how you want to sum up your portion of the case. See, everybody gets an opportunity to do that. All right. So that's what we just did, and now I'm just putting on the record what all we have. Okay. So I've had testimony from you. I've had testimony from a respondent witness. Everybody's had ample time to present their case and whatever evidence they've wanted, as well as opportunity to cross-examine each other's witnesses. So at this time, I'm going to close this hearing. And obviously, we were able to get everything done in one day. This case was scheduled for 2. But we are done with just one day, so nobody will be coming back tomorrow. And I will review everything and put this in my schedule of cases to write decisions on. I take cases as they come, so I'm still writing decisions from cases I heard several weeks ago. So eventually I will get to these cases and then I will write my decision on these, okay? All right. If there's nothing, yes, Ms. Myles.
Okay. Is there any way I could appeal your decision once you?
I haven't even made it.
Once you determine, I'm just saying.
There's always appeal rights for everything. Okay?
Okay.
So, and that's all in the paperwork that you'll get when I make my decision.
Okay.
Read it and see if you understand it. And if you feel you want to appeal it, then you absolutely have that right to do so. Okay? Everybody has appeal rights. If I find stuff favorable for you, the city can appeal. It's not just you. They get to appeal too. Everybody gets a right to appeal. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Anything further from anyone?
No.
No, thank you.
Okay.
you.
Thank you all.